Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel D Creations Resources. Today let us talk about the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which is on 11th of February. So this idea of having this day was generated during the inaugural World Women's Health and Development Forum, which was organized by the Royal Academy of Science International Trust and the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, which was held on 10th and 11th of February in 2015 at the United Nations headquarters. This idea became a reality in December 2015 when, in the 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the adoption of the resolution took place. All of us know that science has never belonged to one gender. Yet, for centuries, women's contributions were ignored or minimized or credited to others. But times are changing, and so this day serves as a reminder for these changing times. Now, every year a theme is declared to celebrate this day. For example, the theme for the year 2026 is From Vision to Impact, redefining STEM by closing the gender gap. On this occasion, let us remember some of the pioneering women scientists who glowed against all odds. Let's begin with the woman scientist who has won not one but two Nobel Prizes, one in physics and the second one in chemistry, and no prizes for guessing the name. It is indeed Marie Curie. Marie Curie was born in 1867 in Poland at a time when women were barred from higher education. Determined to learn, she moved to Paris and then studied at the Sorbonne. So she often had to survive on little more than bread and tea. But her persistence paid off in ways no one could have predicted. She discovered two new elements, polonium and radium, and pioneered research on radioactivity, a term she herself coined. And she became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the first person to win it twice, and she remains the only person to win Nobel Prizes in two different sciences, namely physics and chemistry. As she was born as Maria Sklodowska in Warsaw, she named one of the elements she had discovered as polonium, remembering her country of birth, Poland. She worked with pitchblende painstakingly to isolate the two elements. Her measurements showed that certain materials emitted energy without any external source. That is, in today's language, we can say spontaneously. And it is a phenomenon she called as radioactivity. And this concept of radioactivity really opened new fields in physics and chemistry. And as mentioned earlier, she won the 1903 Nobel Prize for Physics and in the year 1911 for chemistry. Her laboratory practice combined meticulous chemical technique with novel instrumentation and patient repetition. She and her team handled radioactive substances long before the health risks were understood. So, their notebooks and many personal belongings remain dangerously radioactive even today. And very unfortunately, prolonged exposure contributed to the health problems that ended her life in 1934. This is a sobering reminder of how scientific progress sometimes outpaces safety knowledge. The Curie family is sometimes called the Nobel family because her husband, Pierre Curie, also won a Nobel Prize, as her daughter, Irene Joliot Curie, and her husband. So, indeed, there were five Nobel Prizes in the family. Her legacy is twofold, scientific and symbolic. Scientifically, her discoveries are important for modern nuclear physics, radiochemistry, and many medical imaging and cancer treatment techniques. While symbolically, she is an icon of resilience. Now, let us talk about some Indian women scientists. The first one is Kamala Sohonie. She is the first Indian woman to earn a PhD in science. In the 1930s, science in India was almost entirely a male domain. When Kamala Sohonie, a brilliant young graduate from Bombay University, applied to the Indian Institute of Science (IISc), she was flatly rejected, not because she lacked talent, but because she was a woman. And this rejection came from none other than Indian Nobel laureate Sir C.V. Raman. But instead of walking away, Kamala did something extraordinary. She refused to accept the verdict. She stood her ground, arguing that merit, not gender, should decide a scientist's worth. Reluctantly, Raman allowed her admission, but on probation, under strict conditions meant to test her capability. Kamala Sohonie didn't just pass, she excelled. And then she never looked back. She went on to become the first Indian woman to earn a PhD in science, as I mentioned earlier. She conducted pioneering research in biochemistry and nutrition. Her work proved the nutritional value of palm sap and rice, findings that had direct implications for combating malnutrition in India. So her legacy isn't only in her research, it is in the door she forced open. And every Indian woman who entered a scientific institute after her walked through the space she helped to create. In fact, on this same YouTube channel, D Creations Resources, you will be able to find a detailed episode dedicated to Dr. Kamala Bhagwat Sohonie. The next Indian woman scientist is E.K. Janaki Ammal, the scientist who listened to plants when the world wouldn't listen to her. So, long before environmentalism became a movement and long before women were welcomed into laboratories, E.K. Janaki Ammal chose a life that defied almost every expectation placed upon her. She didn't marry, she didn't conform, she did not seek approval, and in doing so became one of India's most extraordinary scientists. Her work did not roar with spectacle, it grew patiently and persistently like the plants she studied. She was born in 1897 in Tellicherry, and she grew up in a society where education for women was limited and ambition for them quietly discouraged. Yet, she showed an early fascination with nature, with plants, patterns, and the hidden order of life. She pursued higher education with remarkable determination, earning a bachelor's degree in botany and later a master's degree from the University of Michigan, where she went on to complete her PhD. And this was, of course, a rare achievement for any Indian woman at that time. Actually, this alone should have secured her a place of respect in Indian academia. Unfortunately, this did not happen due to several prejudices and biases and professional exclusions. So, she went to England, where she found the intellectual freedom denied to her at home. At the John Innes Horticulture Institution, she became a pioneer in cytogenetics, the study of chromosomes in relation to plant breeding. India's sugarcane was tall, fragile, and low in sugar yield. It was poorly suited for large scale cultivation. Janaki Ammal applied cytogenetics to analyze chromosome numbers and genetic traits, enabling the development of high yield, disease resistant sugarcane varieties tailored to Indian conditions. Her work laid the foundation for self sufficiency in sugar production, reducing dependence on imported varieties. So, in a way, she quietly, methodically helped reshape Indian agriculture. After Indian independence, she had come back to India and started working with institutions like the Botanical Survey of India. And she helped reorganize botanical research in the country and co authored the monumental work of Chromosome Atlas of Cultivated Plants. She has been a key figure in India's environmental movement. In the 1970s, she was a vocal advocate against the proposed hydroelectric project in the Silent Valley in Kerala, which would have destroyed the flora and fauna. She was awarded Padma Shri in 1977 in recognition of her scientific contributions. Although she unfortunately passed away in 1984, she left behind a legacy which was scientific as well as institutional as well as cultural. The third Indian woman scientist is Rohini Godbole. She was born in 1952 and grew up in an India where science was respected, but women in advanced theoretical research were still rare. She was born in Pune on 12th of November 1952. She did her education in the school Huzurpaga, her college education in SP College, and her degree under the Pune University, which was that time known as University of Pune and now known as Savitribai Phule Pune University. And then she went to IIT Bombay. She completed her advanced work abroad and then she joined the Center for High Energy Physics at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, where she spent much of her career as a professor and a mentor. She worked in particle phenomenology, which is the bridge between theoretical models and experimental data. So, in simple terms, she helped physicists understand what experiments at massive particle accelerators should be looked for and how to interpret what they find. Her research focused on the theoretical and phenomenological aspects of the standard model and physics beyond it. Her papers and collaborations emphasized realistic signatures, backgrounds, and detector effects, translating abstract field theory ideas into testable experimental strategies. This practical orientation made her work especially valuable during decades when collider facilities were planning and executing major searches for new physics. Beyond equations, that is, beyond her work, she was a persistent voice on gender justice in science. She documented gender imbalances, challenged institutions to measure and correct them, and insisted that scientific excellence and social justice were complementary, not competing goals. She is one of the editors of the book Lilavati's Daughters, The Women Scientists of India. She received awards like Padma Shri in 2019, along with some awards in different countries like Italy and France. Unfortunately, she passed away on 25th of October 2024, but she will be remembered as a person who did not just study the fundamental laws of nature, but the person who also questioned the unspoken laws of academia. She was a first rate particle physicist who worked hard to make science more inclusive. On the occasion of 11th February, when we celebrate the International Day for Women and Girls in Science, let us salute these four women scientists along with many other women scientists. And of course, the description of their lives in this episode is just a tiny little tip of a huge iceberg. Hopefully, you would like to know about them more and try to find out details, and more importantly, carry forward their legacy by excelling in science as well as empowering the society. Thank you.